Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, welcome back to another video. And in today's video I'm going to be sharing with you how you can use your eyeshadows for your entire look. So I'm going to kind of show you all the ways that you can use eyeshadows and what you can do with them, whether it's for panning purposes, like if you have eyeshadows that you don't really want to use on your eyes but you still want to pan them, or you just want to get more use out of your collection. This is kind of like a guide for you. And I hope you're gonna enjoy that. And before we're gonna jump into this video, in case you're new here, hi, my name's Sasha. I love indie makeup, I love colorful makeup, I love eyeshadows, I love panning, which I've been like really focused on this year. It's been such a fun time. So hopefully this will kind of connect it all together, and I hope you're gonna have a great time here today. Now, obviously I don't have anything on because I wanted to like show you the entire process. So we're gonna start with the brows because I always do my brows first. I'm gonna kind of brush them up a little bit, and then I'm gonna use this kind of liner part of the brush to fill in my brows with a eyeshadow. That is probably like one of the easiest thing, and a lot of people do that. I'm currently trying to use up one of my green shades from my Merry Christmas palette, which is called New Leaf. And it's this shade over here that I have repressed in this Liana palette. And I'm gonna use that in my brows because my hair are currently green. They're kind of washing out. Like it was pretty much like a deep bluey emerald green. But now it's washed out and it's just like slightly green. I think I'm gonna change the color today when I'm gonna wash my hair at night, and I still don't know what color it's gonna be, so it's gonna be a surprise for you. But so we're gonna use this this green shade, but I'm gonna mix that with a little bit of brown because I don't want to make it like too crazy. And for the brown, I'm gonna use this Undergrowth palette by Cosmic Beauty, and I think I'm gonna mix it. I can either use Roots, but I think I might mix it with a little bit of clay. I think it's gonna be, or maybe sludge, I'm not completely sure. No, I'm gonna use clay. So I'm just gonna, swirl my brush a little bit in the green shade and then in the brown shade to just cover the entire brush with both of these. And then I'm just gonna go, and I will start in the outer part of my brow. And when that is when that looks okay, I use the remaining product on the brush to go in the inner half of the brow. But first is always the second half. Now when this is done, I'm gonna use my brow gel, which is the Superlock brow gel from Maybelline. Obviously I can't use any eyeshadows for setting my brow hair, so for this we're gonna be using a product. And I'm gonna try to use eyeshadows for like every possible use, or like for every possible step. And now my second step is always eyeshadow. So I'm gonna use my primer, which is this Artdeco eyeshadow base. I always use primer for my eyeshadows, by the way. Like I don't think it looks good without it. And also I have a little bit of like a creasy eyelid and kind of oily, so they definitely need something to make sure that the eyeshadows will stay and not like smudge throughout the day. And this eyeshadow primer is not colored, like it's clear, but if you have very like discolored lids or veins or something that you want to get rid of, or if you want to use eyeshadows that are not in your undertones, like if you have really warm undertone and you want to use cool tones and you want to make them look cool tone, it's really good idea to use a colored primer so that it doesn't mix in with the base color on your face. And now for the eyeshadow. So we're gonna be I think I'm gonna get into my project products just because that's how I'm feeling today. And since I was kind of on my vacation, I just got back literally yesterday in the late hours of the evening. So, and I had a couple of my palettes that I'm currently panning, but not all of them. And one that I didn't have with me was the Serpent by Mickabeautyshop that I have rolled into my Pendos eyeshadow. So I'm gonna use the shade Forewarning in the like inner part of the lid. I've actually been doing this look quite a bit. Like I think I did something. I actually did this look a week ago when I was traveling to the airports, like on the day that I was starting my vacation. It wasn't really the day because I was just traveling from Czech Republic to Stockholm, Sweden. And we got there very late in the evening, and I literally just got to hotel to get some sleep and then started on the next day. But this is kind of similar to a look that I've worn at the airport. Not completely the same because I don't actually remember all the products that I used, but I know that I used this with the next palette that we're gonna be getting on our eyes today. So I'm just gonna use this in the inner part. I really love this yellow. It's a very, very neon-y yellow that I just love, especially in the summer. Like, it's such a gorgeous shade, and it's actually quite pigmented, and you don't even need any like special base to make this work. With neons, you do want to like kind of pack them and then maybe slightly like swirl them around, but you don't really want to like, you don't want to overwork them, I guess. So I think it's gonna be like in this first half. Then I'm gonna take another brush and we're gonna get into the outer part. And for the outer part, I'm gonna use my Haggard Ecstasy of Saintess. I think that's how it's called. I've been also focusing on this palette, and I didn't bring it, and I haven't brought it with me on my vacation. So I'm gonna use this pink shade, which is called Saintess. I actually have a pretty good dip in there, so why not like expanding it today? And I'm gonna use it in the second half of the crease. Such a beautiful shade that I'm enjoying a lot. And I think I'm gonna take the shade right next to it, which is called the Norns, I believe. This light shade, and I'm gonna use it above it just to kind of like blend out this shade underneath the brows, you know, because I also want to use this one. I want an open light behind this palette, so that's kind of why I'm doing this. And now on the lower lash line, what I brought to my vacation was the Psalm 102 palette by Uden's Eye, and I've really been enjoying the shade Solar. I kind of fell out of love with it. I think it was last year. I don't know why. I just wasn't really enjoying it. But on the vacation, maybe it was the brushes that I was using, but when I was on my vacation, I've actually used this like maybe 3 times, and I was gone for 7 days, 8 days technically. So I've actually used it quite a bit, and I've been really enjoying it. So we're gonna use the shade Solar on my lower lash line. This is one of my Pendos palettes for this year, so I do want to like incorporate it into my looks once in a while. I have been very good at incorporating this palette. I've been using it almost like every other day for the past, I don't know, maybe 2 months. I've been like really focusing on it, which is very good. Like, I love that. Because because I really want to hit my goals on this. I think my goal, if I remember that correctly, it was only to like hit a pan on every single eyeshadow in this palette, which I think I'm gonna be able to do very easily. I'm gonna take the shade from the Serpent palette again on the lower lash line. I don't know if I'm not gonna do like something sparkly on the lower lash line, but if in case I want to have it here, and I want to have like a little bit more of a transition. Now in the outer corner here, I think I want to deepen it up just a little bit, and I don't know what I'm gonna use for that. I might try to use this Glam Shop Sorbet palette and the shade Malinovsky. I don't know if it's not gonna be like too light, because I don't remember if it has the same pigmentation as in the pan or if it's lighter than in the pan, so we're gonna try it. I have used this shade not that long ago, but I'm not fully sure if it's darker. I mean, it's a little bit more neon-y. I don't know if it's darker necessarily. Shimmers, I always use a shimmer primer, and right now I'm using the Shine On from Cliona, so I'm just gonna take a little bit on my finger and then apply it on my lids. When I started using this shimmer primer, I would use it right from the packaging, like onto my eye, and I didn't like the way my shimmers looked because I had to wait quite a while for this to dry to even be able to like, for the shimmers to be able to stick. But if I use it with my finger, it actually works. So I guess it was just like a learning curve, which was a little bit more like figuring out how to use this shade. Now I'm gonna use, what am I gonna use? I'm gonna get back into my Pendos palette, I think. Yeah, I'm gonna use the Summoner palette, and I'm gonna start with the shade Hallucinations in the outer corner, but I'm gonna top it with the shade Meteor, this one, to make it lighter. And then in the inner part of the lid, I'm gonna use this central shade from the Haggard palette, which is called this how is it called? Heart of a Saintess, I believe. Yes, Heart of a Saintess. So I'm gonna use that for the like inner half. That's the plan, at least. Let me find my shimmer brush. Here it is. And I've been doing pretty good, as I said, with this palette. Like, I've been really working on it, doing good. My update for my Pendos palette went up, I think it was on 25th, so I have another, for me, like 20 days before I have to update it again. And I've been doing quite well. On my vacation, I've been mostly using just this palette, or maybe like adding a little bit shinier shades from my BYOP for summer or other palettes like that. But for the most part, I've been like really good at this. And I actually have a good dip on the shade Hallucinations, so maybe if I like focused on it, I could hit a pan by the end of the month. But I don't know if I'm gonna really focus on this shade. I kind of have other plans and other shades that I'm working on. So now I'm topping it with the shade Meteor. I do use my fingers for this shade because it is a little bit like, not a hard penny, but it does have a really soft and hard to pick on a brush formula, so I just use my finger. It's not that hard to use, and it just makes the previous shades a little bit more sparklier and a little bit more like lighter and nicer. So, and I'm currently trying to expand the pan on the shade Meteor. Now. Yeah, the Haggard. I couldn't find where I put it. I'm a little confused still from, well, I kind of got sick during the vacation. I had some, like, I don't know, cough or something. I think it started 4 or 5 days ago. Maybe it's like 5th day today that I've been sick, and it's getting better. Like, I'm not coughing too much, and it's not like, oh, I forgot that I actually use fingers with this shade as well. It's not bothering me too much, but my voice isn't the best still. But I'm definitely not feeling like a complete shit, so I think it's a progress. This shade is so pretty. Like, literally so beautiful. I think I'm also gonna use this dark shade, which I don't know if it's not called Kenosis. No, it's called Midnight Oat. And I'm gonna use that as a little liner because, again, I want an open lip behind this palette, so why not? And I actually do quite like this for like an everyday liner because it's not too dark, so you know, it looks a little bit more softer and a little bit more like everyday in case you're not very used to wearing eyeshadows. But it also like actually gives you that like lifting effect that eyeliner does. And obviously you can very easily use eyeshadows as eyeliners. And what I do like about eyeshadows as eyeliners, if you use matte eyeshadows, it's not as opaque as liquid eyeliner. So if you don't like a super dark, stark eyeliner, this is definitely a lot more softer, more like diffused way to do eyeliner. It's also easier to learn to do eyeliner with eyeshadows because it's a little bit easier to like move it around and stuff. So if you find that using like liquid liners, it's a little bit too hard for you to actually keep the line straight and make everything look nice, eyeshadows are a little bit better because you kind of build them a little bit better. So, you know, that's just like a little tip. And you can use both the matte shades and the shimmer shades. Like if you spray your brush with setting spray and go over this with like a shimmer primer, with a shimmer eyeshadow, it will also look so beautiful. I might link, I don't know if I have, I'm gonna try to find a video of some kind of look that I'm doing when I'm using a shimmer shadow as a liner so that you can see how you can do this. I think I had like either some kind of review video where I did that, or maybe another get ready with me. I'll just search through my channel and find something and put it in the card so that you can see how you could do this with a shimmer shades as well. But am I gonna use something else for my eyeshadows? I might use one of my Franken shades on the lower lash line. I think we could do that. And I'm also gonna, or maybe, you know what? In my inner corner, I'm gonna use this shade, which is called Pluto, from the Beauty Bay Mini Charms palette. Because I haven't used it in a while, and I want to use it up. So that's the first thing. We're gonna put it in the inner corner. And I'm gonna use the shade Infinity, this pinky orange, on my lower lash line. This one is really beautiful. It goes from like pink to peach to orange shimmer, which I think will be perfect for this look. And again, it's another shade that eventually I would love to use up, maybe for next year or hopefully this year, but I'm starting to think that I'm not gonna be, but I wanted to use up this palette from Beauty Bay this year, but I think I'm gonna be happy with just having a pan on everything, and if I'm gonna use up something, I'm gonna do that, but I don't think I'm gonna be able to use up the entire 9 pan. I'm gonna use this pinky waterline pencil, and I'm gonna use my current mascara, which is the Essence All Eyes on Me mascara. So I'm gonna do that off camera. Technically, you can use black eyeshadow as your mascara. I've done that a couple times. What you need to do though, you need to mix that black eyeshadow with a Duraline to make it A, waterproof, and B, liquidy. And then you can use any like spoolie with like this kind of spoolies. You can get them in like a rubber form so that you can clean them and then reuse them, or you can get the single-use ones. I have somewhere the reusable ones. They're very inexpensive, they're really good. Usually have a pack of like 5 different shapes so that you can pick your favorite that works for your eyelashes. You can absolutely do that. I forgot where I've put my Duraline. I cannot find it. I've been trying to find it for the past almost 2 months, and I don't know where it is. I know I haven't threw it away, so either it's in a wrong drawer with maybe like my stationery or something, or it might have, I don't know, I just can't find it. So you can do this. I currently don't have my Duraline, so I'm not gonna be able to show you, but if you would really want me to, I'm gonna buy a new one and show you maybe in like a reel or something so that you can see how that works. But it's literally just scraping a little bit of eyeshadow. You can even do colorful mascara with that. Just scraping any like darker eyeshadow, like maybe this, on a little plate, adding a little bit of Duraline, mixing it together, and then kind of bathing the spoolie in it, and then use it as a mascara. Like that is very easy to do. I've done that multiple times. It works. So you can do that as well. But let me finish up the eye look. Okay, so I used the mascara and the waterline pencil. Now we're gonna use concealer, and so far I've only been talking about the ways that you can use powder eyeshadows, but obviously eyeshadows also come in sticks, liquids, stuff like that. So you can definitely use liquid eyeshadows as your concealer, as your blush or highlighter or anything like that. Like that is perfectly fine, and usually liquid eyeshadows are marketed as a kind of full face type of product that you can use, or like multi-purpose product, but even powder eyeshadows are multi-purpose. You just have to be a little bit more creative. I have this eyeshadow stick, which is called the Color Tattoo 24 Eye Stick from Maybelline. It's the matte one, and it's in the shade I'm Confident. Sometimes I use it as a primer on my lids because obviously this is colored, but today we're gonna use it as a concealer. This one is actually quite a nice color, as you can probably see. So I'm literally just applying a little bit from the stick and then just using my warm fingers to spread it. This doesn't have as much of a coverage as like regular concealer would, but for example, if you don't want to bring concealer and eye primer, like you don't want to have 2 products, maybe when you're like traveling, or you just want to save up money on products and you don't want to have too much in your collection, you can definitely buy this and then use it for both. Also, since this is a stick and you would be like traveling on a plane, it's not a liquid, so you know, you can easily have this with you. And let me kind of come a little closer. I think it looks nice. Like it's obviously like there's still a little bit of my skin color like peeking through, but for like a little touch-ups, or if you want more like bare face type of look, it works perfectly fine. And this one is self-setting, it's mattifying, so it works on its own as well. So technically you don't need to bring a setting powder if you only use like concealer on your under eye, just like me. I don't usually use makeup or like, you know, foundation or skin tints on my face because I'm too lazy. I always want to get more into using that, but I'm just not that type of person, and it is just pretty much if I feel like it and if I want to play. But for like every day when I'm going to work or doing something outside, I'm not gonna wear foundation. So pretty much only time I wear foundation is when I'm at home and just filming videos or just doing nothing and just like reading books. That's where I wear foundation. Because I just can't be bothered. And I hate how foundation feels when I get sweaty. So not really something that I enjoy. We're gonna get back into the Sorbet palette by Glam Shop, and I'm gonna show you how I can use a powder eyeshadow as a setting powder. So this and you can set your like eyeshadow base if that's what you like to do. I don't, but you can, or on your under eyes or your entire face as like a setting powder. And there's the shade Nepozorny, which is pretty much my face color, so I'm gonna use one of these puffs. You can also use a brush, but this is just what I use. And I'm just gonna dip it into the shade Nepozorny to get it on the little puff. And then you can either set your under eyes with it, or, you know, if you have like, sometimes I almost use it as like a powder foundation, especially on my nose, because my nose gets oily and it doesn't like foundation. It doesn't look good with foundation usually. So this is something that I do. You can put a little bit on this spot to like cover it up a little bit. It also works okay. Let me kind of give you a little bit more of a close-up. It obviously isn't something that will last you maybe like full day. That kind of depends on your skin, especially if you're a little bit more like drier or normal. I feel like this is completely fine to use. If you're very oily, maybe this might not be enough, but I mean, it's an eyeshadow, it's not really targeted towards this use. This is more just like if you either want to hit pan on shade like that and you don't know how else to use it, or again, if you're traveling, you have a shade like this in a palette that you want to bring with you, you can use it for multiple different purposes and you don't have to bring so many products with you in the end. Back to the Sorbet, we're gonna do blush, and for blush I'm gonna mix the Malinovsky with the shade Sox Mirabelki, and maybe I'm gonna dip into the shade Nepozorny a little bit just to make it less crazy pigmented, because obviously these are eyeshadows and they have a really good pigmentation, so you should be a little bit careful with that. There's nothing wrong about using eyeshadows as a blush. I love to do that. I do that most of the times, even though I do have quite a bit of blushes, but a lot of the times I just use eyeshadows. But it's good to have kind of like a neutral beigey shade, or like your skin color shade, to, you know, bring the intensity and the pigmentation down a little bit. So let me kind of swirl the brush in there a little bit. I don't like fully like dip in there, just like softly layer it on the brush so that I don't have patches on my face. And then I'm gonna slowly also cover it with the shade Nepozorny, just so that it's not too crazy. I use this Essence brush, by the way, because that's just the brush that I'm currently using. It's something that I found in front of me, and you know, that's how it is with me and brushes. Like whatever is closest to me, that's what I'm gonna use, even if it's not perfect brush. Like I'm just gonna use it. So, and I always do like a triangle like this with my blush. I don't know, that's just how I like it. Sometimes I also bring it up a little bit into the brows. I don't know, I just love blush like that. I don't know if that's like a correct shape to use on your face, and I don't even know if it actually looks nice on me, but I like the way it looks, so I'm gonna use it this way. I'm sorry, but I love peachy blush. It's my neutral type of blush. If I want to do something a little bit more colorful, I do orange blush. But for like everyday, just like normal soft look, or even if I do something darker, like for everyday looks, I go for peach. And now we're gonna do highlighters. So let me get my highlighting brush, if I can find any, and I'm gonna use the shade Bluedo, which is the inner corner shade from the Mini Charms palette, and I'm gonna soften it up a little bit with this Sweet as Can Be palette by Colourpop. This is the Winnie the Pooh palette, and the shade Oh Bother. It's this beautiful kind of pinky peachy gold. So I'm gonna start with that eyeshadow, and then over that I'm gonna use the shade Bluedo. Just so that it fits more with this look. Like there's some pink and there's a bit of gold as well. And this is how the highlighter looks like. If you like softer highlighters, use more like iridescent, less sparkly eyeshadows. That really depends on what you like. I love these wet looking sparkly highlighters. If you like something a little bit more, you know, softer, maybe Colourpop shimmers will be just what you're looking for, because they are very like soft, almost satiny, and they do remind me more of like a face highlighters than shimmers on your eyes. So if you're more into that, go for them, and if you're like me, just use whatever. I use like iridescent multichromes on my cheeks all the times because it's just what I like. Last step for me, since I don't do foundation, I don't know if, obviously you can also use brown shades for your contour. I don't contour or bronze my face. Like, I just don't. But technically, like, I could use this shade, Mrzna Kava, yeah, Mrzna Kava, as a face bronzer. I don't bronze my face, but you can do this. And again, with this, I would recommend mixing it with something like this, so that it's not too crazy and you don't have like brown stripes all over your face. But you can absolutely do this, do that. A lot of people do it this way. It looks really nice. I just don't use bronzers and contours very often, almost never. And if I do, it's literally just to finish up brown eyeshadows, because for me, the only way I can use brown eyeshadow, sometimes when I do like yellow looks, I would use that in the outer corner or as a liner. I can use brown in my brows because I'm naturally like used to be blonde, now it's kind of brown. Or I do have to use them as bronzers, which is not my preferred way, but sometimes I do use it. And that day is not today though. Lips, I used a little bit of Vaseline a couple hours ago. I think it was like 5 or 4 hours ago. So my lips are still like soft and a little bit, you know, there's something on them, but it's not fully coated with Vaseline. And this is a perfect opportunity to use your eyeshadows as your lipstick. I wouldn't use liquid eyeshadows as your lipstick, or I wouldn't use the applicator in the liquid eyeshadow on your lips, because you have different bacteria there. So then you couldn't really use it on your eyes. So if you want to use liquid eyeshadows, scrape a bit of product on the back of your hand and then you can use it on your lips. Usually it works pretty fine. What for me works better and lasts longer is usually using powder eyeshadows. I think I'm gonna use the shade Solar again. I'm just kind of feeling this way. So I'm gonna kind of like swatch it on my finger. And then I'm just gonna use that finger and apply it on my lips like so. Like literally just kind of as if you're applying lip product with your fingers, so the same thing. You just have a little bit of eyeshadow there, and this creates kind of like a soft, kind of satiny feel on the lips. And unless you're eating something super oily, like usually for me, if I eat like Chinese noodles or something, then this will get destroyed and I will have to reapply. But for normal foods and drinks, it will last multiple hours for me. Like usually I can go with this for like 6 hours with like drinking and eating, and it's completely fine. So unless you're eating something very, very oily, you will be good. For kind of like, you know, making it a little bit better, a little bit nicer, a little bit more precise, I will also use a soft, small pencil brush. Today I'm using the Refer 03, because again, that's what's in front of me, and I'm gonna get a little bit more of that product and just go over my kind of the line of my lips. And I really love the look of this on my lips because it kind of, there's no harsh lines. Obviously you could also use lip liner first and then fill in with this, but I love that it almost looks like, I feel like it genuinely looks like my lips have this color. Like there's no evidence of lipstick, which I like because sometimes, especially since I have smaller lips and I don't have very pronounced lip line, lipsticks usually move a lot for me, and after like hour or two, especially if I'm drinking something, I pretty much only have the lipstick on my lip line and then it's gone from my lips, so I just look like I have a mustache. So, and it looks very obvious that I have a lipstick, which it's not, it doesn't bother me because I do like the look of lipstick, but also sometimes it can be a little bit distracting. And this genuinely looks like your lips have this color. It also looks like the cloudy lip formula that you see in a lot of Chinese beauty brands. And I've been loving that look a lot lately. I know a lot of people have been loving that lately. Honestly, like it's, I'm gonna try to show like there's not a lot of transfer with this. And again, it looks very believable, at least in my opinion. But let me know what you think. And that is everything for today's video. So apart from the bronzer or contour and mascara that I like wasn't really into showing you today, it's still a lot of different tips. Oh, and I also will add a little like quick tutorial on how you can use shimmer eyeshadows on your nails. I only use nail polishes. I don't do like acrylic or like, you know, fake nails. I only use nail polish on my natural nails. So my options are slightly limited. If you also do like acrylic nails, you have way more you can have way more fun with that. You can even use matte eyeshadows, but for me, I can only really use shimmer eyeshadows because matte eyeshadows don't want to stick to regular nail polish. You need a gel polish that is cured and has that like little, you know how you have that layer on your nails after you cure a gel nail polish, to like stick the matte eyeshadows on top of that, if that makes sense. So there are many YouTubers out there who have film tutorials on how to do that. I'm just gonna show you the shimmer shades, and I'm gonna do my nails tomorrow, for me tomorrow, so I will add the footage right now and walk you through that. But essentially you just need to prep your nails as usual. use a base color, so any like cream nail polish or even a shimmer nail polish, whatever you are into, and you can really experiment with these. Let that completely dry. Depending on what shadows you want to use, it will kind of determine on how many coats of base color you need to use. If you're going to use very iridescent shades, you need to do at least 2 coats. You need the base color to be very opaque. If you're gonna use really pigmented eyeshadows, you can just use 1 coat of any base color just to make sure that there's something on your nails. Let that completely dry, and then you're gonna kind of swatch your finger into the eyeshadow that you want to use and softly go over your nails and covering the entire nail with that eyeshadow. Some people swipe. I prefer to do like soft patting motions to apply that shimmer eyeshadow onto my nail. I just feel like it works the best. And then once my entire nail is covered, I will softly swoop over the nail just to make sure that there's no like clumps of eyeshadow there, because the next step is to just use a top coat to make it stay inside of the kind of like sandwiched in between the nail polish and the top coat. If you're not gonna top coat it, then every single time you're gonna wash your nails, or wash your hands, the eyeshadow will come off. So you really need to put a top coat over it or a clear nail polish that you have. And you can really experiment with this. You can use the same eyeshadow over different base and it will always look completely different. So maybe if you want to like pan a shimmer eyeshadow that you don't like on your eyes, maybe it's too dark or maybe it's not pigmented enough, you can use it on your nails very easily and it creates beautiful manicures. I've had so many shimmer eyeshadows that I didn't love on my eyes. It just didn't give me the effect that I would want, but I absolutely love them on my nails. A little disclaimer though, not every single eyeshadow works as nail polish or like, on your nails. If it's too dry formula, it will not stick to your nails and you kind of have to figure that out on your own. For me, a lot of shimmer eyeshadows from Colourpop don't work. Pretty much, I don't think any eyeshadow from Colourpop worked for me ever. So, that formula, if you've ever tried shimmer shadows from Colourpop in their like regular palettes, not their glitter formula or their, how is it called? How is it called? The Super Shocks. But the regular shimmer formula that they have in their palettes, this formula doesn't work for this technique. So if you have shades that are similar to this formula, it probably isn't even worth to try. But most like indie or more like fuller eyeshadows, like thicker particle of eyeshadows, will work. And this is also a great way how to use up your eyeshadows that are expired, because obviously on the nails it's not that much of a problem. I wouldn't recommend using expired eyeshadows on your eyes, especially if your eyes are sensitive, but your nails usually can tolerate it, especially since it's like, since it's not directly on your nails. So that could be a good way how to use them up. But that was my last tip for you. Let me know if any of those tips were useful, if you want to try any of them or if you've already heard about all of them. And in case you use any of these tips and tricks, what is your favorite to use? So let me know down below. I will be very happy for any comments down there. And have a wonderful day, and I'll be super happy to see you tomorrow with another video. Bye!